We are delighted that you have taken the opportunity to join us. So prepare yourselves for this week's teaching and equipping session. Get ready to be educated, equipped, and set free as you listen to this week's broadcast. And thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody can see me as we get ready to start this week's broadcast. All right, there we go. I hope everybody can see me as we get ready to start this week's broadcast. Truth Tuesday. Today is July 6th. I hope that everyone had a very safe holiday over the weekend and was able to enjoy family and make memories. So that's what I'm all about these days. You know, make memories with your families, enjoy the times that you have with each other, because time is precious. Time is precious. And so that you don't have to be thinking about, you know, sitting at somebody's funeral saying, I wish I would have told them that I love them. I wish I would have done this, shoulda, coulda, did this. So make memories. That is so important. So listen, we are excited as always to be here again to talk about the Great Commission and our role in carrying out the Great Commission. And so we're still dealing with the spirit of rejection and abandonment, but we're going to kind of focus on abandonment tonight, okay? We're going to kind of focus on abandonment tonight, and we're just so excited about this information. You know, one of the reasons that we do this, we have invited you into our deliverance classrooms, and we're just giving you bits and pieces of things that we do and things that we discuss during our deliverance training, because we know that we can't hold a large class anymore, not right now. And we know that time is valuable, time is precious. And so we want to do all that we can to make sure that you are equipped. Even if you don't come to the Dream Center, we are so grateful for those of you who watch us, who support us financially, who support us with your prayers, who come on and who share this broadcast. And so as you come on this evening, I want you to like, and I want you to share, and I want you to follow, okay? Invite your friends. And also, for those of you who are on YouTube, I want you to like and share on YouTube too, because it may come a day that we might not have the access to Facebook like we have to YouTube. And so I want you to know that you can always catch us on YouTube. You can always catch us on our webpage also, DREEMM.org. So please reach out to us and let us know if these messages are helping you at all, because there are many more that are going to come. Again, I say take your notebook, get your pencil, get your paper, your pen, and take notes. So we're going to focus on abandonment. Again, our scripture is the same as it was last week, John 8:32. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Rejection and abandonment are the results of what? Last week. See, if we were in a classroom, I would just be starting it and you would be answering it, right? So it is the result of wounds that did not heal right. When the spirit of rejection come in, because you can be rejected and not have a spirit of rejection. You can be abandoned and not have a spirit of abandonment. It depends on whether or not that became a wound that festered and became an open door for the enemy to come in. You know, ironically, we want to just really equip you, right? And say, look, listen, don't feel like you're bad. We're not beating you down because you're dealing with this. Actually, we're here to help you. And ironically, I didn't see the movie. I just saw a clip of this movie, so I can't even remember the name of it. And it was this young man who had steadily been rejected by women. And his friends were saying, haven't you had enough yet? And he said, no, not really, because I learned. And he began to list the names. So I'm just going to make up some names. He said, with Mary, I learned that I need somebody that likes to swim. Mary did not like to swim. With Jane, I know that I need somebody that loves to exercise. Jane did not want to do any exercise. With Marcia, I learned that I want somebody who loves science fiction, because she didn't like science fiction. And with Betty, I want somebody who loves to eat food and experience with different food, because she was always just on that vegan stuff. And so instead of being rejected and abandoned, like, woe is me, none of these women like me, I'm never going to get married. Something's wrong with me. I must be gay. So what is wrong with me? You know, instead he flipped that thing and said, I just know that that's not the type of person I want. I know that that's not what I want in my life. So he flipped that so the spirit of rejection could never get in him because he turned that thing around. You know, when Jesus was talking to Peter, and I'm moving ahead of myself because this was actually the last thing that I wanted to dwell on. In Matthew, the 22nd chapter, or Luke, the 22nd chapter, verses 31 through 32. And so here, you know, they're at the Last Supper, right? And Jesus is telling Peter, you know, Peter is saying, you know what, Lord? He says, let me read it to you. Simon, Simon, indeed, Satan has asked for you that he may sift you as wheat. Whenever we're dealing with demonic oppression, that means that we're not just being hit in one area of our life, we're being hit in several areas. That is the demonic oppression, which comes with the spirit of abandonment and the spirit of rejection, because the enemy is attacking you in so many areas of your life because he doesn't want you to feel like you have a way to escape. You don't have a way to escape. And some of us think about it. He's telling Peter, he asked for you. See, some of you are not going through what you've been through or what you're going through right now because you did something that was just so wrong, that you committed such an awful sin. Some of you are experiencing what you're experiencing because Satan has asked for you. He is so sure that he can oppress you so much that he can bombard your life in so many areas that you would give up on God. I'm going to talk about that a little later. I'm watching my time, but I'm going to talk about that a little later. He wants to oppress you. He says, listen, Simon, he asked for you. Out of all the 12 disciples, and get this, as we stressed last week or week before last, there were a lot of disciples. But out of all of those disciples, it said Jesus went and he prayed all night. He prayed all night saying, God, which one? Who is it? Which one? Now, he has had a talk with his father, Elohim, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the I am God, the El Shaddai. He's had a talk with him and say, out of all of these, who should I choose? And he chose the 12. And here he's got one that's going to betray him, that he had a talk with his father about. And he has one that he's going to set as a leader who's going to deny him, who he had a talk with his father about. My God, today. See, sometimes we look at rejection and abandonment as if we're just so low and nothing good is going to come out of our life. But I want to tell you tonight that Satan has asked for you. My God, today. He's asked for you. And he says, listen, but I have prayed for you that your faith should not fail. And when you have returned to me, so he's letting them know now, it ain't gonna be easy. You're gonna deny me. He was like, I never do that. I am willing to die with you. I'm willing to go to jail with you. He was like, you're gonna deny me. See, if you go back in the beginning when he gets the scriptures and get the disciples and they say, Lord, teach us how to pray. One of the things he says is pray that you get delivered from evil. That you get delivered from evil. Before they even really understood what that was, he would say, pray that you get delivered from evil. So here, Peter, remember how I taught you how to pray, because evil is coming, and evil is coming in the form of fear. So when we deal with abandonment and we deal with rejection, we're dealing with fear. We're dealing with fear like what's going to happen to me. I remember my former supervisor, who I just love so much. And I talked to her today too. Loved her so much. She said to me, Deborah, there are things worse than death. She said, so if you ever come into the office, because I shared an office with her, she said, if you ever come to the office and I'm on the floor, I need you to pretend like you Michael Jackson and moonwalk back out of the office like you didn't see nothing. She said, because I don't want to end up a vegetable, because my family said that they love me so much that they can't disconnect me from life support. She said, there's some things worse than death. And so sometimes fear will cause you to make the wrong decisions. Mike was looking at something earlier on social media, and it was a father, and he was chastising his daughter. His little girl looked like she might have been 2-3 years old at the most. And so he was like, now, you know, I got to whoop you, right? And so she was already crying. And he said, all right, turn around, because I got to whoop you. And he took the belt and he began to hit the floor, not her butt. He began to hit the floor. And of course, it was making a sound, and she was just jumping like it was hitting her. See, there was so much fear inside of her that even though those licks were on the floor and not on her butt, because she was psyched up to believe this is what's going to happen to me and it's going to hurt. And I said, that is a great analogy about how the enemy comes in. He comes in like a roaring lion, and he comes in with so much turmoil that we think we're done for. We're done for it. He's finna take us out. This sickness is going to take me out. My husband left me. That's going to take me out. My kids are in jail. That's going to take me out. It's just the sound of it. He's not really able to take you out. He needs you to come in agreement with what is happening. Peter came in agreement when he said, I don't know him. I don't know him, because fear had set in. When fear set in, when he saw what they did to Jesus, and he followed them to the temple, and he saw and witnessed them beating Jesus. And although he loved them, he was like, I can't go through that right now. I can't do that. I can't do that. So fear caused him to say no. And so when fear caused him to reject Christ and say, no, I don't know him, abandonment stepped in. He felt all alone. Get this, abandonment also stepped in with Judas. He felt all alone. We always have a choice. Both of these men experienced a lot of emotions, but they handled it differently. Peter ran away and gathered himself together. We don't know how long it took him or whatever. Judas ran away and hung himself when he thought he could rewrite the wrong, and he found out he couldn't rewrite the wrong. He ran away to try to handle it himself, and he couldn't, and so he hung himself. Both men who had walked with Christ, you have a choice. The enemy cannot defeat you unless you come in agreement with him. He cannot defeat you. He cannot have your marriage. He cannot have your finances. He can't have anything that God has given you. He can't have your children. He can't do that unless you come in agreement with him. And in order to come in agreement with the enemy, you have to fall out of agreement with Christ. You have to fall out of agreement with his word and whatever it is he's telling you to do. So listen, abandonment. And in order to know what abandonment means, because it's the act of being abandoned, right? So what is abandon? It means to give up the control or influence of another person or agent, or to give up with the intent of never claiming a right or interest in that person. And so we often teach that demons work in groupings, right? And so when we're looking at the spirit of abandonment, we know that rejection is there, but fear is there also, okay? Fear is there, and then anger. Anger is there. There is another movie, I teach by visuals. Yes, if you've been following me, I teach by visuals. And sometimes, I always have to tell people, I never sit down and say, okay, God, give me something to teach. Give me a movie. Sometimes I'm just trying to clear my mind. I'm just trying to move Deborah out of the way. Because when you carry, I can make the mistake of carrying the load. So when I talk to different people, when I'm counseling people or something like that, sometimes the situations that they're in can be so grave that if I'm not careful, it'll take a toll on me to hear one situation after the other. So sometimes I get Deborah out of the way and I'm like, I'm just going to sit down and let the TV watch me. And sometimes in the TV watching me, it begins to minister to me in a certain way. So this movie was called Prayer Never Fails. And it's not a new movie. It's called Prayer Never Fails. And there's a teacher who loses his job because a student comes to him who had been beaten by his father. His back was messed up. And he says to the teacher, I don't know what else to do. And the teacher asked the teacher, can you help me? And he was like, yes. The only way the teacher knew how to help him was to introduce him to Christ and to pray with him. So he took him in a room and prayed with him. And two other teachers were walking by the room and heard him praying with the boy, reported him. And actually, I think they reported him to the boy's father, who was a judge. And that's why the boy thought, I can't turn to anybody. My dad is a judge. Who's going to arrest my dad? Who's going to do this? And so the teacher prayed with him, and he found an attorney who was on his bad luck, an attorney who did not believe in God anymore. He said God didn't show up. He wasn't even sure God is real. So this is who he got to handle his case. And I tell you, as the story goes on, and I don't want to give it all in case you guys watch it, but I want to point this out. The reason that he was sensitive to the needs of the young boy is because he had been in his place. See, anytime the enemy come after us, sometimes, not sometimes, but God allows it. He allows it, he allows it because he knows the strength that we have. We don't always know the strength. Peter did not know the strength that he had, right? But Christ knew the strength. He said, I prayed for you. Now, when you get yourself together, go and strengthen your brothers. And so if you find yourself in the place with one of these, with any type of spirit oppressing you, or going after members of your family, going after members of your community, then you know what? It is not the end game. It's not the end game. That's just the movie. It is not the end game. You can fight and you can defeat this enemy. I'm telling you, you can fight and you can defeat this enemy. With God, all things are possible, right? You learn how to put on your armor. You learn how to stand. What does stand mean? We mentioned that last week, that it's a military term, meaning that I'm not moving. And I talk about that, but sometimes visuals even help me. And so I love The Magnificent Seven. That's one of my favorite movies. But on the new Magnificent Seven, when the guy gets ready, when he's in the beginning of the movie, and it's the Asian guy, and he's getting ready to fight, he's bringing a knife to a gunfight. Okay, he's bringing a knife to a gunfight. I just love the Lord, man. I didn't even get that revelation to now. He's bringing a knife, because people tell you don't be bringing no knife to a gunfight. But when you are anointed, this becomes your sword. This becomes what you take to a gunfight. My God, today. And so what he did was he took his foot and he put a hole in the ground where he was standing to make sure, and he did it with both feet so that he could get a good stance. So it's a military term, meaning I am standing. I got my feet together. I'm not making a move forward, or I'm not going to let you take me back. I'm standing. And sometimes we got to learn how to stand. We don't always have to fight, because the enemy wants to make us weary. We don't always have to fight, but sometimes we just have to stand. We have to stand and say, okay, God, I'm waiting on you. I want to see your salvation. Because what did he say? He said, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You ain't got to fight in this battles. There are some battles that he's going to say, you need a sword for this one. But then there are some that he says, just stand. You don't even need to fight. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to show you how I'm going to bring you through this thing. Just stand. And so anyway, that's what he did. And of course he won the fight. Because he had to stand, while the guy with the gun was just standing in any kind of way, because he thought, this is a joke. You really think that your knife is faster than my bullet? Let me tell you, whatever weapon God puts in your hand is always going to be faster than what the enemy has. What did God tell Moses? Use what's in your hand, Moses. What is in your hand? Moses was thinking, it's just a stick. It's just something I use to help me walk with. Use what's in your hand. It's going to become what I need it to be in order to not only strengthen you, but set the people free. Use what's in your hand. And so there are many doors that can open when we have these wounds of rejection, when we have these wounds of abandonment. There are many doors that can open. So I'm going to give you just a few of them tonight. It could be a mother resenting the fact that she's pregnant. So what do you mean, Deborah? That means that baby can feel rejected and abandoned in the womb. That baby can come out with issues because the mother can go through that pregnancy like, I don't know how this happened to me. I don't know why this happened to me. I don't even want children, right? And so that spirit of abandonment will enter in the womb. A parent dying. When you have children that lose their parents at a young age, okay, even at an older age, but at a young age especially, then they feel abandoned, even though they have all of these people around them. I know a young man, put it like that. I know a young man whose mother left him and his brother. He was a twin, left he and his brother at the hospital because her husband had did her so wrong. And when she found out she had a boy and had two of them, she was like, I ain't going for this. Here she was, so messed up, so oppressed in her mind that she equated her two sons, these infants, these newborns, she equated them to the status of a grown man and said, I ain't on this. They needed her. But she was so trapped in her own mind that she could not be a mother to them. And so she left them in the hospital. And their grandmother, and the paternal grandmother and their father went to the hospital to get them and raise them. Now, she went on to have another baby. She had another girl with another man, and they could go visit their mom. but she didn't raise them. Okay. And so the father dies when they are young boys. This is the parent that says, I'm going to stick with you. Your mama left you in the hospital, but I'm going to stick with you. And then he dies. And they are left with the grandmother who is caught up in her own grief. She was powerful in her own right in serving the Lord, but even in serving God, she was caught up in grief because she had lost all three of her children, all at an early age. I think they all died in their 40s. Not nice deaths at all died in their 40s. And now here she's stuck to raise her children. Well, what happens when you feel so fearful and you feel abandoned? It's because the grandmother now feels abandoned. She feels abandoned by who? I wish we were in a classroom so I could hear your answers. Who does she feel abandoned by? She feels abandoned by God. God, you took all my children? You took all three of my children. How many of you know people like that who blame God for the death of their children, the death of their wife, the death of their husband? God, you took all of my children. So you know that with those lenses on, that she could not really raise those boys adequately, right? And so they came up with a spirit of rejection, but a stronger spirit of abandonment. Stronger spirit. I have a mother that's living that don't want me, and a father who wanted me but left me. And so when you have men, let me read you a quote. I am just all off my target for my minutes here. But listen, this is from a Dr. Davis Stoop. It's a quote in Making Peace with Your Father. It says, neglect or loss through physical absence, divorce, prolonged sickness, or death can leave a young boy with a severe lack of emotional connection with the most influential male in his life. This neglect can give rise to constant attention seeking, struggles with insecurity, the fear of abandonment, and avoidance of feelings and relationships, and anger that seeks to preempt anticipated rejection. It can also lead to depression, addiction, and gender insecurity. Now, we talked about that a while ago, and I'm going to talk about it again, but not today, especially about the gender insecurity. I always say when you have neglect and abandonment in a house and it's coming from the father, and the father has a son or a daughter, they're going to become so insecure with their identity because they don't know what to do, that they often will go to that same sex. They'll often, the girl will begin to think that I'm going to be a man because I'm going to be a better man than my father. So I'm going to love women like men should love them. Right. And the boy be like, you know what? I really want a father. So I'm going to be a wife. I'm going to find a man who can love me like my father should have loved my mother, like my father should have loved my family. My God, today. Whether overt or covert, intentional or unintentional, a father's neglect can contribute to insecurity and a sense of inadequacy in one's relationship, one's chosen profession, and one's life. So what is he saying? He's saying what we say, but we say it in a spiritual way. We say, listen, it can result in generational curses. It can result in cycles that go from one generation to the other, where the enemy has access to your children. He has access to your grandchildren. If nobody stands up to break that cycle, the enemy has a continued a door that he can come in. So it can be that with a father, it can be the parent dying, it could be a boyfriend or girlfriend breaking up with you. Oh, I wish I had more time. Now, I started to come on early. I wish I had more time. It could be a boyfriend or girlfriend breaking up with you. And then what happens? You begin to have unhealthy soul ties. You begin to have unhealthy soul ties. It can be your spouse leaving you. And you can say, I was talking, sometimes even though you're the best wife you can be or the best husband you can be, that person will still leave. And instead of you saying they wanted to leave, the enemy wants you to start internalizing, what did you do? And you will drive yourself crazy. If you knew that you were a good wife, you made sure that you were the virtuous woman. You were the virtuous woman. You did what you wanted to do. I told Mr. Edwards when we first got married, I was like, listen, if you ever cheat on me, I'm going to tip my hat to that woman because she got to be a bad something other to replace me. Because I knew that, first of all, wasn't bad to look at, had a cute little shape, made some nice money, still kept my house clean, still kept myself looking good, kept my children looking good, and I could cook my butt off, okay? So I was bringing home the bacon, frying it up in a pan, and I wasn't letting him forget that he was a man. Y'all remember that? I'm telling my age with that commercial. Telling my age, but that's okay because I got a birthday coming up. So listen here. When we internalize somebody else's issue, it becomes an open door. It becomes an open door so that the enemy can come in. He never comes after one person. When he comes in, he's trying to destroy a whole family. So if your spouse decides that they don't want to be married to you anymore, you better make sure that you are letting God order your steps and that you are filling your mind with the word of God and with those things that are lovely and pure and a good report. That's what you better start thinking on, because the enemy will cause you to internalize, what did I do? I mean, I did everything. Why did he leave me? Why did she leave me? Because he's trying to destroy both of you. He's trying to destroy you. And if you've got children, he wants you all to model those insecurities. He wants you to model that twisted life in front of your kids so that they begin to have an identity crisis themselves. Or they do, as Dr. David Stoops said, they begin to have gender insecurities. My God, today, I know I'm running out of time. The parents can be in the same home. They can be in the same home with the children and still abandon them because they are not able to connect with their children emotionally because they're so trapped in their own world with their own things that they have going on. They are trapped, so they can't even connect with the children emotionally. And so people that'll see you act out be like, but your mom and your dad at home and y'all live in that nice house. But you're like, you go live in that nice house. Their parents are not able to connect. In the movie Prayer Never Fails, what happened was the young man's mother was a drug addict and she had already been arrested twice. And so when the husband got ready he was always beating the mom, but this night he was going to beat the son and also rape him. And what the mother did was she killed him, but she knew that had 2 strikes, another strike, she was out. Her son was 10 years old. She told the police that her son killed the husband. Man. How much of that do we have going on? That your parents need help, they need deliverance, they need salvation, and they don't know that, so they blame you because you got up out of the chair, because you had the nerve to say you were hungry. My God, today, there is help. I'm telling you, I got to finish this. A parent that suffers from addiction, it could be divorce, it could be molestation. These are all open doors. Bullying. Oh man, that's a big one. Bullying, because sometimes most people that are feeling bullied, the enemy has oppressed their mind to the point that they won't even go tell their parents. They feel like they get into this place in their head where nobody can protect them. Maybe because the bully is telling them, can't anybody protect you? I'm going to be able to get you. You heard the story, and I'm gonna close with this. I know I got a lot I wanted to finish, and I'll come on another day this week and finish it because we want to hurry up and move on. But this young man, his name was Michael, in high school. Couldn't get away from those Michaels. I should have knew then, right? And so my friend Fred said to me, he said, Deborah, don't get involved with him. He be beating up his girlfriends. So I went to Michael and I said, I can't be your girlfriend. And he said, why not? I said, because you don't know how to treat your girlfriends. That's what I hear. And he told me, you gonna be my girlfriend or else. And I said, or else what? You threatening me? So I go home because see, my mind had not gotten to the point where I won't tell. So I told my mom. At that time, I didn't have a father in the home. I told my mom, I was like, listen, this boy threatened me if I wouldn't be his girlfriend. And so he called and my mom said, did you threaten my daughter? And he's like, no, ma'am. She said, I'm going to ask you one more time, son. Did you threaten my daughter? And he said, no, ma'am. So I got on. So mom said, okay, you bet not. And I got on the phone. I was like, why you lied to my mama? He was like, it wasn't a threat. It was a promise. The next day, I told my mama what he said. My uncle was at the school. If y'all know my family, y'all know it was a done deal. My uncle came to the school and he went into the principal's office. He said, if that boy touch my niece, I'm gonna kick your so-and-so first. Before I go after the boy, I'm coming after you. The principal lost all of his color. I mean, he just went totally pale. He called the young man to the office He said, when you see this young lady coming down the hall, you better turn around and walk the other way. I never had any problems. What would have happened if I would have felt like I don't have a dad in the home? My brother was much older than me and he was out of the home. What would have happened if I would have felt like there was no place I could turn to? There was nowhere I could run to. What would have happened? I would have got in that mindset. And get this, when people get in that mindset of letting people bully them, whether it is another student bullying them, or whether it is your husband, a spirit working through your husband, or spirit working through your wife, you've got to stand up to that spirit. You got to stand up for yourself and say, no, I'm not taking it. I'm not taking it. I am not taking it. No. And so I'm going to have to come back. I'm going to try to come back because I promised 30 minutes and I have went over my 30 minutes. But bullying, peers who reject us. I want to go over this one more time and then I'll come back and finish the other ones later. I don't want to stop now, but I have to. A mother resenting the fact that she's pregnant. These are open doors. A parent dying, a boyfriend or girlfriend breaking up with us, resulting in an unhealthy soul tie, our spouse leaving us, parents in the home, but they are emotionally disconnected from the children, a parent that suffers from some form of addiction, divorce, molestation, bullying, peers who reject us, whether it's at work or at school, being adults, because I've seen some adult bullying going on at work. I don't play that either. I got a little my Uncle Joe in me. Or a pastor. This is a good one. Oh, I don't want to stop. A pastor that is not anointed to be a shepherd. Okay. A pastor who is not anointed to be a shepherd will bully you from the pulpit. Ooh. I'm going to have to stop right there. But I'm going to come back on. I'm not going to make you guys wait a whole week. Again, if you didn't take the notes, I want you to take the notes. I'm going to come back on. I'm going to try to come back on tomorrow afternoon to finish this part. I'm going to try to end rejection and abandonment with two testimonies, two young ladies, if I can get them together at the same time to give their testimonies about what rejection did, but what they look like now. And so listen, I am very, very, very grateful that you guys join us. Continue to like, share, follow us. That's going to be so important that you hit that follow button so that you get the alerts when we come on, because I can do some pop-ups anytime. I want to make sure that you don't miss those. Listen, glad that you're here with us tonight. Have a wonderful week. If you're in Cincinnati, it's hot, right? But have a wonderful week. Enjoy the summer with your family. Make memories. Seek peace and pursue it in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.